Hello. How are you all? Where are you? I know you're at school. Which school?
Good afternoon, Alistair. We've got like 10 questions for you, if that's okay.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. I saw your pictures from yesterday for World Book Day. It was brilliant.
Did you guys enjoy your banana sandwiches?
They're really nice.
Okay, so we've got 10 questions. We're going to fire through them because we don't want to keep you for too long. So, Jessica, your first question. Can you stand up and ask a question?
What made you want to travel around the world?
That is a good question. What made me want to travel around the world? I wanted to. You can sit down now, otherwise you might get tired legs. I'm now going to talk for 2 hours. I wanted to see different places in the world. I grew up in England, and I really like England, but I thought there must be some other exciting places to see. So I wanted to go see somewhere different. I wanted to do something that was difficult. I wanted to try and challenge myself. It's quite easy just to do lazy, boring things. I wanted to try and do something hard and exciting. And then the third reason is that I wanted to try to become a writer. I wanted to write books, and so I needed to have some exciting story to write about. And those three reasons are why I decided to cycle around the world.
How old were you when you started exploring?
I guess I started exploring when I was a boy, because I used to like going on little adventures at the weekends and school holidays. I liked going away to the countryside and climbing hills, and I liked swimming in rivers and climbing trees. So I liked all those things when I was a boy. The cycling around the world adventure, I started it when I was 24, and I finished it when I was 29. So I was away for just over 4 years.
Were you scared when you went to your first adventure?
Yeah, when I start adventures, I always get scared. I still get scared with adventures now. And I think what's scary is just doing something that's new. And you probably feel the same. Maybe if you start a new school or you just go to some club you haven't been to before, it's always quite scary before you start it. And I feel just the same as you. When I do my adventures, I feel quite scared. And yet when I start, I always think, what was I worrying about? The hard bit is over now, and this is brilliant. So most of the time I'm scared, it's just worrying in advance. The reality of adventures usually is fun, not scary.
What was your favourite part about cycling around the world?
My favourite part, that's really hard to choose because there's lots of cool things. There's learning about different countries, meeting lots of fun people, eating lots of delicious and different foods. But I think that the two best things I think overall about the trip were, one was all the people I met, meeting really interesting, kind people in 60 countries around the world, rich people, poor people, different religions, all sorts of different people who were just really kind and friendly. And then the second thing I loved about cycling around the world is the opposite. It's when there are no people at all and you're completely in the middle of nowhere and nobody in the world knows where you are, and it's wild and empty and completely silent, and you feel like you're the only person left in the world. I love being in the wilderness as well.
What did you like about Bulgaria?
Bulgaria is a terrible country. I'm joking. What did I like about Bulgaria? I like Bulgaria a lot. I cycled through Bulgaria by following the river Danube, which goes all the way through Europe into Bulgaria. I cycled through for about a week heading through the hills and the mountains on my way to the Black Sea and my way to Turkey. I like Bulgaria a lot. It's a really, really nice place. Is anyone in your class from Bulgaria? I thought you might be. Bulgaria is a very nice place. What do you like about Bulgaria?
I don't know.
Well, my answer was better than yours then.
What's your favourite food you've tried?
My favourite food, apart from banana sandwiches. A good thing about cycling is that you get really hungry and you get really greedy. So you can eat lots of food, but because you're doing the exercise, you don't get fat. So I would eat so much food when I was cycling around the world. I really liked Ethiopia's food. It's really different food to everywhere else in Africa, really spicy and really nice food. Ethiopia's also got brilliant music as well. So you should try going to an Ethiopian restaurant if you can. I really liked the food in Japan. Although actually Japan, some of the food is delicious and some of it is incredibly disgusting. And you can't really tell by looking at it. When you look at something, you can't tell if it's going to be delicious or disgusting until you actually eat it. So it's a bit of a risk, but they have really nice food. Chinese food, I'm sure you've all had, but Chinese food in China is much nicer than it is from a takeaway here in England. And then a little country called Georgia, that has really delicious food. So I loved Georgian food too.
Matthew.
What inspired you to write the books?
What inspired me to write the books? A few things inspired me to write the books. The first thing was that I loved reading books myself. So when I was at school, I used to love reading stories of adventure. And so that always made me love books. And it was one of the reasons I did the adventure was because I love books. The second reason I wanted to write a book for children is because I know from talking to lots of children that children like to learn about adventures and they like dreaming of adventures, but there aren't many good adventure books for children. And then the third reason was that writing books has become my job now. It's one of the ways I get money to pay for my life. And it seemed a good idea to write books, not just for grown-ups, but for children as well. And actually my children's book now sells more books than any of my grown-ups books, which is really interesting. So I'll be writing some more children's books.
What did you like best about the River Nile?
Oh, what did I like best about the River Nile? The River Nile is the longest river in the world, but it's surprisingly narrow. I thought it would be absolutely massive, but a lot of the time it's not much wider than the River Thames is in London, which is quite interesting, even though it's thousands of miles long and it's got crocodiles in it. Maybe they should have crocodiles in the Thames. So what did I like about it? I liked in the River Nile, I liked the Blue Nile waterfall in Ethiopia. It's a massive waterfall at the start of the Blue Nile. I like that it's got crocodiles in it. I think all rivers should have crocodiles. And in Egypt, they have really beautiful boats called feluccas, sailing boats called feluccas. And I loved sitting in the warm, sunny evenings and watching these sailing boats going up and down.
Was everybody nice to you in different countries?
Was everybody nice to me in different countries? You know, before I set off on the trip, I was a bit worried about my safety because if you look at the news on television or in newspapers, it seems that the whole world is crazy, full of really horrible things happening and all sorts of really bad people. And of course, you have to be careful wherever you go because there are a few bad people in every country. But what I learned on my bike trip is that nearly every single person in the world is a nice, normal person, just like we all are. And I was amazed how safe I felt cycling around the world. People in every country I went to were really kind to me, looked after me, gave me water. And that's one of the best things about the whole trip was how safe I felt everywhere in the world.
Why did you want to go to Africa?
Why did I want to go to Africa? Well, Africa to me just seemed like something that was exciting and adventurous. It was very different to where I grew up. It was hot and sunny. It's got people there have got lots of character. There's lots of music, lots of exciting animals and beautiful landscapes and interesting things to see. Um, and I just wanted to go to somewhere that was so different to where I'd grown up. And a lot of Africa is very, very different to England, and that's one of the best things about traveling, is just to see the different ways people live lives in different countries.
Were you scared when you went onto your journey?
Not, no, not very often. It's these adventures. I'm not really a very brave person, and adventures are much less scary than you might think they are, especially when you're in the wild. People often ask me, "Aren't you scared when you're in the middle of nowhere?" But when you're in the middle of nowhere, you're so totally safe. That you're away from everything. Life is very simple, and I find being in the wild a lot less scary than being in a city, really.
Was you scared with all the animals?
You lot ask a lot of questions about being scared. Uh, before before I rode through Africa, I worried that animals like lions would be a problem for me on my bicycle. But sadly, there aren't many wild animals left in the world. Most countries I went through, there are not many wild animals. Humans have killed most wild animals, and so really the only part of the world that I cycled through which felt really wild and where there were wild animals I had to take care about was in Canada and Alaska, when there are lots of bears, black bears and grizzly bears. And it's brilliant to see grizzly bears, very exciting. But so long as you don't scare them, so long as you don't surprise them, then they're more scared of humans. So they usually leave you alone. So Alaska was probably the wildest part, but even that wasn't too scary.
Fantastic. We're halfway through book 2 now, and book 3 has just arrived, so we can't wait to finish the books and see what happens to Tom in the end. Seals and porpoises, what do you have to say to us, Humphreys?
Thank you very much. I'm really glad you're reading the book and enjoying it. That's cool. It makes it worth writing it. So I'm glad you like it. Bye. Thank you.